What's up, everyone? LA Sports with his first mock draft of the 2024 draft season. I'm here with a guest, Adam. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, happy to be here.
And I know it's not going to be too busy here in the stream, but just for everyone watching back, more so to kind of see what I think is going to happen here in this year's draft. We're going to be using the NFL mock draft database simulator. And we're going to be doing this with trades of what we think will happen, not of what we think should happen, but what we think is going to happen. And we're not going to go as maybe as risky as, I'll have a couple more mock drafts out before the draft, but I think this could really get dicey here as time goes. I think there's a lot of talk about Harrison falling and McCarthy going in the top 4. I could honestly really see the first 4 picks being quarterbacks. But we'll do this with trades, of course, and kind of see how it goes. See what we agree on, see what we don't agree on.
I think it makes sense to do it with trades just because there's going to be a lot of great quarterbacks coming out of this class. So, when that's the case, there will most likely be someone trading up for, McCarthy, or maybe a back end of the first round, someone wants Penix. So I think it makes sense. We're not going to do absolutely, ridiculous trades, but the ones that are at least somewhat expected, you could say.
And we're not going to be predicting what the returns are going to be for these trades.
Yeah.
Because, of course, teams use that trade value chart. I'm not going to pull that up and start calculating what the picks are worth. Yeah. I'm just going to say who's going to trade with who. And, obviously with it being, like he said, a heavy quarterback class. Last year we didn't do with trades because, obviously the top 2 quarterbacks were going to go first 2 picks. And then there was a drop-off at quarterback, of course, after Richardson. But we obviously knew that there were going to be 3 quarterbacks in the first 4 picks. And, there weren't many trades. Of course, the Will Anderson trade, but typically, you don't see a defensive player being you don't see a team moving up to take a defensive player normally, especially that early in the top 3. So we'll do it with trades, just to kind of get the feel. This is, again, what we think will happen, not what we think should happen. We'll kind of give you an in-depth as well of what we would do pick by pick. So I'm going to share the screen right here. This is what we're going to be using. It's NFL Mock Draft Simulator, and we'll kind of get started here.
Yeah. Well, I think with not much needing to be said, Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy first pick.
You are a Chicago Bear.
The Bears have been zeroed in on that since they traded Justin Fields. Everybody knows it here at this point. The draft really starts, in my opinion, and I think in the entire football world's opinion, this draft starts this year at number 2. Number 1, he's a consensus number 1 pick. It's not even close. Caleb Williams, number 1. The Bears have tried to start to build that team around what they could potentially seeing that team being in the future. And, I think
future's bright in Chicago.
Yeah, I think Caleb Williams is going to be the guy. So like I said, it starts at number 2, and that's the Washington Commanders. Of course, with a new head coach, a new GM. I think Drake May is the second best quarterback in this draft class.
I agree.
I'm not sure Washington views it that way.
I also agree. I think they're going to go Daniels. Yeah. I think we can both agree Drake May is the better prospect. I think he's the more complete prospect.
He's got that Justin Herbert kind of feel to him.
Almost a bit of Josh Allen. He's
size,
mobile.
He is mobile. Daniels is, in my opinion, he's a very he could very well be a good quarterback, but you take a look at what he had compared to what Drake May had. Drake May at North Carolina, he didn't have that alpha receiver, whereas Jane Daniels at LSU had Malik Nabers. He had Thomas. He had all the weapons you could possibly ask for in college, and he's a very scheme-dependent quarterback, in my opinion. So Washington, if they want to take Daniels, there's nothing wrong with it, but they have to know that for the next 4 years or so, we'll go ahead and take Daniels for the next 4 years or so. Their team is going to be, and their offense is going to be built around a quarterback that's mobile and kind of relies on the run a lot. Jane Daniels, he's got some
Still definitely a very
tributes like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people kind of see that in him. Of course, he is not that caliber, and he may never be that caliber. Lamar Jackson's he's a borderline, arguably a top 5 quarterback in the entire NFL. So if Jane Daniels can allude to that, then Washington, obviously, if he can be a top 10 quarterback, Washington nails this pick here. But, I don't know if he's going to be that, but we'll ultimately see. I think J.J. McCarthy's also a definite possibility here at number 2. I think we heard some buzz, and I wouldn't totally write that off yet, but we'll do Daniels here at 2 because I think that's pretty safe at this point. And then at number 3 with the New England Patriots, it's this could go anywhere. This could be a trade. This could be Drake May. This could be Marvin Harrison Jr. We don't know, but I don't think it would be smart for them to take Harrison Jr. I think if Drake May's sitting there, you've got to take him. And I think Harrison, at the end of the day, yeah, he's Marvin Harrison Jr. He's one of the best wide receiver prospects to ever come out of college. But, he walks into there, and who's his quarterback?
Yeah, I agree. I think Drake May is the pick. Do I think, a quarterback is going to solve all their problems? No. I don't want it to be another situation where you throw Bryce Young into Carolina and he has nothing around there. Now his confidence is shattered and they're in a rough spot, right? So I don't exactly think a quarterback solves all their problems, but I do think they still will go Drake May. Taking Marvin, not really going to solve all your problems, although it is a generational talent. But it does start at quarterback, the most important position on the field. So going with Drake May seems like the right pick. I think that's what they'll do. But I see a world where the Patriots do trade back. With who, I'm not sure. Maybe someone who wants Drake May, maybe someone who wants McCarthy. But there is a world where they trade back and try to load up for next year. So I don't know. We'll see, but I think it's
I think even a trade could be possible here. I think if a team like the Giants want to either take Drake May or Marvin Harrison Jr. and have that decision, to kind of pick what they want to do there, I definitely think that that's a possibility. But in the end, I think the Patriots stay here.
I think Drake May is the right pick to say at this point in time.
They try and make him their next Tom Brady, right?
Yeah, at this point in time, that's the pick.
And then at 4, we had a little bit of conflict here on this one. I think either at 4 or 5, the Vikings are moving up. I think they're moving up to take J.J. McCarthy. If this is how the first 3 picks kind of play out, just especially because there's 2 teams behind them in the Broncos, in the Raiders that like J.J. McCarthy. That is not a secret, and you fear, of course, them trading up to go get him. So you always kind of want to be safe, and you want to be the first one to go, and that's for all 3 teams. But I think right now, you just take a look at the Vikings; they have the assets. So I think at either 4 or 5, definitely the Vikings move up to get McCarthy. I think it's going to be at 4. Adam thinks it's going to be
Chargers.
He thinks it's going to be Harrison here at 4. So I think either way, this is Harrison and McCarthy, whichever way you want to put it.
Yeah.
I even think it's possible that Neighbors is taken over Harrison. There's a lot of buzz in that. Of course, no one would have ever thought that a couple months ago, even a week ago. But it's draft time. It could be smoke screens. It could be who knows what.
I think it's just that time of year where we're hearing all that buzz and
But sometimes
closer,
where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So we don't know. But for the sake of this, we'll do Harrison here, and we'll do a trade with the Chargers. So we'll go ahead here again. I'm not going to be,
we don't know what they're.
We don't know what this is going to be in terms of trade value.
Minnesota wants to make a move. They didn't make that trade for no reason, moving up in the first round one time already. So I think it makes sense. Personally, I don't think they're going to trade with Arizona. I think we can agree that either Arizona or the Chargers are
the easiest trade to predict, though, in terms of return in value. It would be a trade with the Vikings.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll do it for this sake because realistically, if they move up,
it'll be
they're not going to
11.
have 23. So
No.
we'll do it. We're going to need to add some more stuff into here.
Whatever. It's not a big
And
deal.
this would be accepted. So we'll just do this because we're only doing one round.
Yeah.
I think it would be some variation of this. It'll be 11, 23 for 5
Something
and
like
something
that.
else. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll select McCarthy here at number 5. And then at the Giants pick, I think it's pretty
Malik
simple at this
Neighbors.
point. If all 4 quarterbacks are taken, it's a matter of Neighbors or Odunze. I think there's a lot of buzz of Neighbors being the first wide receiver off the board. So I think the Giants, for them, it's kind of a no-brainer here to take Neighbors. Although I really do like Odunze and the idea of having a bigger guy, but Neighbors is just off the charts.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I kind of want to just backtrack here. With this trade, Minnesota moving up, do I love it personally? No, I'm not a big McCarthy guy. I'm not sure about yourself, but
I'm not huge on him.
I'm not a
I think
huge McCarthy
he
guy.
could be good. Of course,
I think he's
Michigan had a great O-line.
Michigan had a great
but I mean, he's going to
system.
step into there possibly with Justin Jefferson, with a Jordan Addison.
I agree.
So
he's not going into a bad
going into a
situation.
good situation.
I agree.
Definitely.
I just think he's one of those more game manager type of quarterbacks. He had a game, I think it was against Penn State this year. The whole second half, they didn't throw once in the second half. So he had a great O-line at Michigan, a great defense at Michigan. Blake Corum, good receivers. Like, they had a great team, great system, Jim Harbaugh. So I think he's one of those more game manager type of quarterbacks. Can he be good in the league? 100%. I think he can be a good quarterback in this league. Do I think it's worth trading up to the 5th pick for Minnesota? Personally, I would say no, but I could see it happening for sure. And then going to this Giants pick, I think Neighbors is the home run pick here. Giants have needed that alpha wide receiver for a while now, and I think Neighbors is that guy. You can argue, I don't think it, but you can argue he's even better than Marvin Harrison Jr. going into this draft. But he's definitely that alpha wide receiver that the Giants have needed, and he'll give Daniel Jones at least someone to throw the ball to.
100%.
With that being said, Tennessee.
I think it's pretty simple.
It's a pretty simple pick. Joe Alt.
Yeah.
Help out that offensive line. He's a beast at Notre Dame.
I think he's the best in the class. I don't even really think it's
not even I don't think it's a question. He's a beast.
Yeah.
Never go wrong with taking a big boy up front, and the Titans are a team that could use him.
No doubt. And then here, I think it's where the first defensive player comes off.
It is.
And
that's
Dallas
crazy.
Turner.
All the way at the 8th pick, we haven't even had
late.
a defensive player.
But I think he's the best in
the
the
class. He is the best edge rusher in this
Not
class.
even
easily.
close, really.
And a team like Atlanta need help on that side of the ball. So I think
their offense looks good with Kirk Cousins now.
It seems all right.
And they do have a couple pieces on defense. So
yeah,
I think they could be a good team, and
they could
it's
win
a
that
soft division, right?
They could win that division, no problem. I think they're looking to contend now, and with Kirk Cousins, now you add in Dallas Turner. I think that team can be solid.
Yeah. And then for the Bears, I just cannot see Odunze making it past 9.
I agree.
I think if there's anybody that trades up from or moves up here to get Odunze, it's the Buffalo Bills. I mean,
that's a big
in
jump.
Absolute hell right now. They are in trouble at wide receiver. And a lot of Bills fans, a couple of our friends, they say, oh, well, look at the games with no Stephon Diggs. But, I mean, teams game plan different. And if you don't have Stephon Diggs and you're getting
they're going to be in trouble.
You're getting Curtis Samuel in double coverage. I mean, there's just nothing anywhere. So the Bills are going to have a tough time this year. I actually don't think they're going to win the division. I'm going to even go as far as saying I could see them missing the playoffs.
That's not crazy to say that. It's not ridiculous.
Am I going to predict it? No, I think Josh Allen at the end of the day will pull it off. He'll find a way. I think Joe Brady's offense was definitely better for the Bills. But I don't like
Sean McDermott.
I
agree. I'm not a big fan of him
as a head coach.
But
I think they need to go offensive side of the football for a head coach. But we won't start getting into the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bears will stay here and take Odunze.
I agree. I think it's the right pick.
We could see defense, maybe Jared Verse, maybe like
there is a world where I see an edge rusher,
but I think
Odunze's too talented.
You have no, past this season you have no commitment to Keenan Allen, so he could be a 1 year guy. Here, he could play really well, go get his money somewhere else. So you could lock up a core of DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. I think you take that 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think they'll do that there. And then with the Jets pick, I mean, they have a glaring need here at tight end, and you have the best one in the class sitting in your lap at number 10. So I definitely do think that Brock Bowers is arguably one of the most talented players in this entire draft class, but just given that he's a tight end, and tight ends, like, of course, other than Kyle Pitts, when do they really go in the top 10? So that goes to show you how good Brock Bowers is as a prospect and how good he really could be. So
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I think Brock Bowers here
I-
from Georgia.
I agree. He's a game changer. As a tight end, it's not a position that typically goes high, but a player as good as him, give Aaron Rodgers another weapon, help out in the blocking game. I think he is a generational tight end, a George Kittle type of player that can make a big difference for them in year one.
And then Chargers, back to the Chargers. I mean, they pass on the wide receiver, right? They pass on Neighbors, they pass on Odunze, they move back to get another first-round pick. And in this scenario, I think they go offensive line. And I think that their guy, I think Fashanu's great. But I really do believe that their guy right now, based off all the reports, it's J.C. Latham.
Yeah, you could go either way. They're both two very good tackles. I mean, I'm big on Fashanu. I personally would have said Fashanu, but I'm not mad at Latham here. I think he's still a very good prospect, and I think it's the right move if you're the Chargers. I think there was a lot of talk of them going Joe Alt at 5, but ultimately, if they do trade the pick and move back to 11 or 12 or whatever it is, I think the right pick is a tackle here. You're not going to go a corner, or you're not going to go an edge rusher here. So it seems like the right pick to go offensive line.
Yeah, and then Denver, they're up now, and I think they could go corner, they could go edge.
This is a tough one.
They could even go D-line, but I think in the end, I think they're going to go with an edge.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hard one to predict. I mean,
they're kind of in no man's land. They don't have a quarterback. I definitely think they don't have a choice but to take one in the first 2-3 rounds. But I think here is just not the time to take a Penix.
No, way too high. They could,
and I don't even think they'll even think about it either. And going what I think will happen, I think they go edge. And you look at what's there at the edge market.
I like
Jared Verse, Latu. I really like Chop Robinson. He, for some reason, just kept moving down. He was honestly even a projected top 15 to 20 pick. And
this is one of those picks that could surprise us.
Yeah.
He could jump like crazy.
You see like that Will McDonald pick. You could see something like that.
Yeah, exactly. He could jump like
crazy.
And
that's not even as crazy as the Will McDonald one. But
if you want to go for the sake of Jared Verse, I mean,
that's pretty safe.
Even though he's actually he's slipping a lot in.
I think he was projected top 5 even. Honestly, he was ahead of Dallas.
I would maybe go Latu there, but you could argue either way.
Here, I think it's a pretty simple pick for the Raiders. I think they go.
Arnold,
I think they go corner. I think they need one. I think they go with it. And then here, I think they go line. Fashanu's there. They need according to this. I think that's their biggest need.
I think that's a steal at 14. I think the fact that this
is a guy that could ultimately go number 5.
He was projected to be in the top 5 or top 7 at least.
Yeah.
And now you're going to get him at 14. So that's a home run pick.
And then, I mean,
I would go corner again.
Kenyon Mitchell.
I would go Kenyon Mitchell out of Toledo. I think he's the second best corner after Terrion Arnold. And I think if you're the Colts, that's the right pick. They could use a lockdown corner, and I think he's the right fit. Yeah, in Indianapolis.
And then the Seahawks.
This is another one. They're a tough pick. I'd say tackle. I'd say Fuaga maybe. They're I don't know. They're in a tough spot.
See where you can give Geno Smith.
You can never go wrong with O-line.
And that brings us to the Jaguars, where they could go either corner, they could even go with Latu, who you really like.
Yeah.
What do you see?
I would say Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, the corner. I think he is better than Cooper.
But do you think that's what they do?
Do I think it's what they do? Yes, I do think it's what they do. Right. I think they need that number 1 lockdown corner. That's what they've been missing. They have
they've been going through a lot of stopgap guys, hoping that they could be the guy.
A lot of good D linemen. Like they need their secondary,
all right,
to be improved.
And then the Bengals. This is a tough one because they're kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? And I think with the T Higgins, like with everything that's going on with T Higgins, will he be traded between now and in 2 weeks' time, or will they just let him sit until he accepts playing on the franchise tag. Like, what do they do here? Now, could they trade back? That's a possibility. I think the Bills do trade up,
This is a spot where you could see Buffalo come in
but
and
I'm not
grab them.
sure. I'm not sure the Bengals trade with the Bills.
No.
That's a
not
team
in
they're going to be seeing
the
often.
AFC.
So within the AFC, of course, it's so competitive in that AFC.
Maybe even like a
I
Broncos
think
or
they
a
stay
Raiders
put.
here.
I think they take Fatanu.
You think so?
Yeah. I think it's
Yeah,
their
you can't
biggest
go
need.
wrong.
They try and protect Joe Burrow, who's been hurt before recently. I think they take him there. And then this is where I see Buffalo come up here. Although I think the Rams look at Latu and they might just want to take him. So maybe Buffalo has to wait.
Yeah, you lost Aaron Donald to retirement this year. I mean, that's a big hole to fill. I think
That front four needs help.
Latu is a very good prospect, and if you can grab him at 19, I think
that's the route they could go.
That's a great pick.
Pittsburgh here. I mean,
tough to say. They went tackle first round last year. Brian
really
Jones traded up.
I could honestly see the trade happening right here.
I agree.
I think Pittsburgh. I get it's AFC, but I don't think Pittsburgh is too worried about Buffalo here at this point. I think they're kind of still behind them, so I don't think they're ultimately too worried about that. I think if they can accumulate draft capital, maybe a second, if it means they give up a sixth maybe or a 2 6.
No, you gotta add the first.
I didn't add the first. Let's see.
No, you gotta go.
I mean,
2
6. This is a trade I could see happening right here.
Probably won't be.
Or even if Buffalo gives up their second round pick next year, or the Vikings second round pick next year.
It's rough. It's a rough trade.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll go on with this, and I think Buffalo.
I think they're big on Brian Thomas.
I don't love him, to be honest, as a prospect. I think they should just stay put and take Adonai Mitchell. I think there's you take a look at the wide receivers at the Bills pick. You could see. I mean, Worthy could go. McConkey could go.
A lot of very good receivers.
Franklin. Keon Coleman's a guy who he's fallen, but he was projected top 20 pick a couple.
There's a lot of good receivers.
So it's a deep receiver class, a very deep receiver class. But I think ultimately, if they're making the trade up, it's for Brian Thomas Jr.
I agree. That's fine. I'm fine with that.
And then at Miami's pick, I mean, I think they need help on that D line. They just lost Christian Wilkins. They lost a couple other big pieces to that defensive Van Ginkel. A couple guys. I think Brian Murphy is the best defensive lineman in the class.
Yeah, you lost Wilkins. You got to fill that hole.
And he's played with some really big, good guys over there at Texas and over the years, Breezy, and I just think it makes some sense.
It makes sense.
And then at the Eagles pick, I think it's pretty straightforward.
You know what?
Going corner.
I like corner here. There's a world. Jackson Powers Johnson fills that hole of Jason Kelce. There is a world.
But I just think that they have such good depth at that line, and they've had it for years, that I think they can kind of wait around.
I agree.
I think when you have a guy, you get to pick out of DeJean and Kool-Aid. I think Kool-Aid would be the best pick here.
For this,
I'm not sure they do it though. I think they do go corner, but I'm not sure they take Kool-Aid.
No, I agree.
Although I think Kool-Aid would be the right pick.
I think they would go DeJean. I think Kool-Aid would be the right pick.
I agree.
And yeah, you can't go wrong. Jackson Power Johnson, I think, is a very good prospect though, and would be a very good pick at that spot too.
Yeah.
But I think they'll go corner.
And then you take a look here at the Chargers. We'll just look at what picks they have just for the sake of it. They're not at this point here. I don't think they're not going to trade it. They have an early second round pick where I could see them going wide receiver. That's just why I'm not going to have them reaching on a guy like Adonai Mitchell. I think they go defensive side of the ball here to set themselves up for the early second round pick. Here of taking a Troy Franklin or a Xavier Worthy or a Lon McConkey. So I think here they take Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think that's a good pick.
I agree.
For the Chargers there. They go offense, they go defense, and then they go wide receiver to get that weapon for Justin Herbert. And then I think the Cowboys, they've missed on so many tackle picks over the years.
Yeah.
Of course, with Mozzie Smith, most recent one. But, of course, they lost. They lost a couple big pieces to that line, here in the offseason. So I think they got to kind of fill that gap, the void, and replace them with Amarius Mims.
Yeah, he's the right pick. at that spot.
And then the Packers, I think they go with the guy that you really like, Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yeah, I think if he falls this far, to be honest, I don't know if he will fall this far in the real draft. But he's a beast. I think if you're Green Bay, that's the right pick.
Yeah.
No point in reaching on one of those receivers. They'll
Protect Jordan Love, help out that
Protect
offense.
Jordan
They have
Love.
their defense. They spent some big money in the offseason on the defense.
So that's a team to look out for next year. They're in one of the most competitive divisions in football now. So
yeah,
they're a team to look out for.
And then Tampa could go all sorts of ways, but I think Chop Robinson getting this far is surprising to me. And so the fact that he's fallen so much, I think they could take him here. It's their biggest need. They've spent picks. Of course, Joe Tryon, he was an early pick on the edge, but I think they go again with Chop Robinson.
It's actually very likely he could not even be on the board at this point. But for the sake of this mock, I would put him there. Seems like the right pick for Tampa.
Yeah. And then here at the Cardinals pick, what do you see happening here?
Cardinal, I don't know. You could go either way. You just lost Marquise Brown. I feel like they would go for a receiver here. I feel like an Adonai Mitchell seems like the right pick.
You think back-to-back receivers?
Harrison? I could see it. I don't know. Where else are you going to go? You took Paris Johnson.
I mean, I think they could take Barton right here.
Barton, interior offensive lineman.
They need an interior guy on the line. I'm going to throw you a curveball here. I'm going to have a trade.
Okay.
I'm going to have a trade. I'm going to have the
Raiders.
I'm going to have the Broncos. I'm going to have the Broncos coming here. I just think that they need a guy. I think they like Bo Nix over Penix. And I think they take him over Penix. I like Penix more than Nix. Let me make that clear.
I was gonna say I think Penix is the better player,
but yeah. And Denver does not even have a second round pick. So maybe they don't.
It's hard to say. I would put maybe Vegas here.
I could even see the Giants to get Penix. I could see Vegas.
You know what?
I think there's gonna be two. I think there's gonna be two. I think there's going to be two between this pick here, 27 and 32. I think there's going to be two teams that trade up from the second round to get a quarterback.
I like the Giants. You could actually put the Giants.
We'll do the Giants here for the sake of this.
I don't hate it.
They'd be moving up 20 spots, so from 47 to 27, right here now. So a mid-second round pick, and I think ultimately what would it cost? Probably a fourth and a third next year. And maybe they could pick up a fifth as well in this year's class. You're kind of moving. You're kind of moving off of a third for next year if you're the Giants, and you're moving back about 40 spots from round 4 to round 5. To kind of get your guy here, what you think your guy could be. So we'll do that. And I think the Giants like Penix more than Bo Nix. I'm not sure why this isn't working here. Not going through.
If it doesn't go through, you make the pick and just pretend that it's the Giants.
Yeah, we could do that. Let's just try.
So
let's say for the sake of this,
just try something. Try another package.
Let me try it again here. Let's see. Sometimes the app gets a little bit funny. Let's try it again. And Cardinals with the Giants for 3 next year. 4, 5. Yeah, it's not working. All right, let's just go ahead here and envision this being the Giants pick. Again, back to Penix over Bo Nix. I think the Giants, Brian Daboll has been at the Washington Pro Days with Michael Penix. I just think they like him better than Bo Nix as a prospect. I like him better than Bo Nix as a prospect. A lot of people go to the injury concerns, and a lot of people go look at the
age. He's
the
24
age.
years old.
I don't think age for a quarterback really matters that much, and I definitely don't think. I get it with the injury concerns, but you cannot predict an injury.
No.
And I just don't think you could draft around that, especially at a quarterback spot. Maybe at a running back position, yeah, you could look at injury history, but for a quarterback that has such a long, the longevity of a quarterback and they have just such a long career. So that's what I see happening, and I think the Giants have shown, and the media has proven that the Giants like Penix over Bo Nix. You just don't hear Bo Nix to the Giants as such a big topic compared to Michael Penix. So I think it's Penix.
I think this is good
Yeah.
for the Giants. I think if you have this, you could start Daniel Jones. Maybe things start going south, and Penix jumps in. And I think
Worst
he
case,
could
Jones
be,
plays well and he's worth something in a trade next year. Maybe you can get a fifth out of him.
yeah, who knows?
Who knows? But I think Penix and Neighbors would be a great.
Yeah,
I mean, as a Giants fan, that would be.
I'm big
that
on
would be
Penix.
great.
So I think he'll be a good.
That would be great. I mean, I would be over the moon.
Yeah.
So with that, then the Pittsburgh Steelers are up after the trade back with the Bills, and this is where I think that they'll go with Adonai Mitchell. I think you see here they could definitely get some help there.
Deontay Johnson.
They trade Deontay Johnson, so now you got George Pickens and then Adonai Mitchell pairing it.
Adonai Mitchell might not even go this far. But.
Yeah, but with that pairing, I think the Bills would have been better off staying here and hope he got here or move up to just like 25, 24. I can see Mitchell going top 25 for sure, but I think in this scenario, I think Russell Wilson would really benefit off of two good wide receivers, two good young wide receivers. And then you get to the Lions pick where I think Newton's the guy here. I mean,
I think
they need a defensive lineman, and he's there and he's good.
Is another guy who may not be there at this pick and seems like the right pick. If he is there, 100% take him.
Yeah, and then I think Guyton here is the pick for the
Guyton
Ravens.
is the word on the street, as my team is the Ravens. I've been hearing a lot of Tyler Guyton to the Ravens. We did lose some pieces on the offensive line. Part of me wants to say take a receiver just because there are so many good receivers.
And you lost Odell.
In this class, and we lost Odell. But I think it is the right pick. Can never go wrong with beefing up the offensive line.
This year's where I could see another trade. So you just look at the Niners. I mean, what do they need here? I mean, they don't need anything really. But right here, you could add even more draft capital. I think the Niners in Vegas make sense here. So Vegas to come up here and get Bo Nix. I could definitely see that. What do you think of the possibility of that?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. If you're the Niners, I would trade it. I mean, what do you really need at this point? For you to go out and take one of these receivers, or I don't think there's anyone good enough at this point on the board. If you're the Niners, who are going to help you get back to that Super Bowl.
And again, it's not letting me select the trade here. So just envision this being the Raiders right here at number 31 instead of the Niners, and I think they go Bo Nix.
Yeah.
And then the last pick, the Chiefs, I think they're going wide receiver here. With all this Rashee Rice stuff,
yeah.
I mean, we don't really know. I think they love Xavier Worthy, and I personally really like him too. I like him as well. I think
you could argue really Troy Franklin. You could argue Ladd McConkey.
I think Worthy sneaks into round one though.
I think strictly off of his combine record, that'll put him probably into round one.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of these guys, they're all good wide receivers. I think there's going to be plenty of good wide receivers when we look at this draft. Probably 5-10 years from now, there's going to be a ton of good receivers. But yeah, I think that concludes the first round. So we could just recap.
Of course, the trades the other two did not go through, but you see Williams, Daniels, Drake May, first 3 picks, 3 quarterbacks, and Harrison McCarthy. So first 5 picks for the quarterbacks.
4 quarterbacks.
And then Neighbors, Joe Alt, Dallas Turner, Rome Odunze, Brock Bowers, Latham, Jared Verse, Arnold, Shanu, Mitchell, Fuaga, Nate Wiggins, a guy you really like.
Yeah, I think he's a good player.
And then the Bengals protecting Joe Burrow. Latu there. The Bills, of course, trading up with the Steelers. Byron Murphy, the Eagles taking a corner. The Chargers taking a corner. We think that Dallas tries to replace that O-line that they lost. Of course, Green Bay with guy
Jackson
you really
Parmesan,
like, a guy I really like.
He's a beast.
He's the best of the class in terms of the interior line. Chop Robinson. This pick here at 27 wouldn't let us put through the trade, but that's the Giants taking Penix, and then Mitchell, Newton, Guyton, and that is the Raiders, the Vegas Raiders taking Bo Nix, and the Niners moving out. Xavier Worthy capping off that first round with the Kansas City Chiefs to kind of replace Rashee Rice if he's not a Chief.
Hopefully,
but I think either way, whether Rice is there or not, I think
you got to go a receiver.
So here I think that's that for this mock. And we'll see. The draft is right around the corner.
Less than 2
days
weeks
away.
now.
So I'll have a Giant specific mock, and I'll do one more mock. So probably in about a week. So thank you guys for tuning in, and anyone watching this back on of course, the rewatch, like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep stay tuned for more draft content. Thanks for coming on, Adam, and
Of course.
enjoy the draft.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later.